everyone, and welcome to the new series From Ashes to a New Beginning, written by Stacey Holt. Artwork was by Pastelkittygoreart on Instagram, otherwise known as Maddie Kitty 1997 on DeviantArt. I highly recommend you go check out her artwork. I will also leave everyone that is collaborating within this chapter, which are Adrian and Cat Noir will be voiced by Shane, and I will be voicing Marinette, Ladybug, and the Narrator. If you would like to support this series, you can like, subscribe, and comment. Now, Chapter 10, Trust. She pulled the blankets to her face and curled up into a small ball shape and smiled at him. He is staying the night at Nino's. Wanna stay with me, princess? Marinette teased, seeing him blush at her using the nickname against him. He laughed and crawled into the bed next to her and wrapped his arms around her, laying his head in the pocket of space between her head and her shoulder, letting his mouth rest right beside her ear. He smiled and breathed in her scent. It smelled of soap and cherries, trying to just enjoy the feeling of laying beside her. How long had it been? 2, 3 weeks since he had laid beside her? Yeah, he had been living with her, but he couldn't be her boyfriend, and it was just driving him crazy. Why did he feel like risking everything for her? Why did he feel like it was worth it?
Plague claws.
He started. Cat, no! She shouted. He felt her body tense up and her hand shot to her face, covering her eyes.
But, Princess, I don't want you to leave me. I want you to stay.
He said with a sigh. Don't, Cat. I think you should go, she said, untangling herself from him.
But...
Just go, she shouted, her eyes still closed, now pulling the blankets over her head as she pulled her knees to her chest.
I'm sorry. I can't. I won't,
he said, pulling the blankets off of her, and she sat up, trying to feel around for the missing blanket. Marinette tightened her eyes, knowing he didn't de-transform, but was still too afraid to open them regardless.
Plague, claws in,
he finally managed to say. A bright green light flashed and Marinette held her breath. Cat watched as Marinette sat there, more in shock than anything. He knew he wasn't thinking. He was being rash. He knew that, but he couldn't just let her go. He couldn't let her just leave. He had to do something. This was all he could do. Leave. Now. Transform and leave, Marinette finally managed to say.
I'm not leaving. Look at me,
he said. No, you'll have to give up being Cat Noir if I do.
We can keep my secret,
he smiled, sitting on the bed beside her and placing his hand on top of hers. Cat, why aren't you listening to me? Marinette sighed, pulling her hand away from him.
I trust you. I trust you with my identity. I trust you with everything. I would give up everything for you,
he pleaded. But you aren't hearing what I'm saying. She turned her back to him.
Princess, you aren't giving me any other choice. It's like you want to leave and go to the United States. He
frowned.
Is that what you want?
No, of course not. I have a lot of responsibilities here.
Like what? Taking care of me?
He laughed. He could hear her giggle and just knew she was rolling her eyes if she could.
Why not stay with Adrian?
He asked. What about my parents? How could I just leave them? Marinette sighed.
Aren't you graduating this semester? You're 23. Like, you're an adult. If you really wanted to, you could always get your own place. If you did want to know my identity, we could get our own place.
He blushed. Stop trying to convince me, silly cat. It isn't going to work. Paris needs you. Ladybug still needs you. You don't want to let her down, do you?
No, but...
Then I'll talk to my parents about staying here and see about getting a job. Marinette laughed, turning her head to Adrian, her eyes still closed. Adrian blushed and felt Marinette boop his nose and couldn't resist leaning in to kiss her. He leaned out and opened his eyes, expecting another slap to the face, but instead, saw Marinette's face red.
What's the matter?
He asked. Nothing, she said, turning her face away, her eyes still tightly closed shut.
What? Really?
That's the first time we kissed as civilians, is all, she said, a little embarrassed. Oh, if she only knew. One day, he would embarrass her more. Oh, how funny that will be. But for now, he will keep that information to himself. Right now, he was just thankful he got an answer from her. She would talk to her parents about staying. That's all he was thankful for. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, you can go check out some of my other videos like Thunderstorm, which is Season 1, Downpour, which is Season 2 of Thunderstorms, The Butterfly That Brought Us Together, and so on. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!